button. At 6:36 p.m. Got that.
6:36 p.m. Okay, roll call. All here say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so there's 5 of us so far. 6 of us.
Well, yeah, and I'm here representing Steve Neese, the township manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so we have a quorum, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have.
And now there's a moment of silence.
Okay. How long is that moment of silence?
That's a good moment. Okay.
15 seconds, right? All right. So then we go over the.
Agenda. So we then, so I think we need to make a motion to consider approving the agenda.
Right, so one person makes a motion, one person seconds it, and then you vote on it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to consider to approve the November 4th, 2020 Shade Tree Commission agenda. Do I have a second?
I
I'll
second.
second it.
It was a tie.
Ooh. John can have it.
All right. And then Tom, you say motions
Motion.
passed or whatever.
Motion passed. Granted.
Okay. And then we move on to public comment.
Right, now, there is one attendee who's here, and we can let that attendee talk if you vote to do that. There's no public comment that was provided in the box ahead of time or via email.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can ask if
So-
anybody has public comment, and then I could, Sarah Mitros, I could allow Sarah to talk during the public comment time period if you want.
Sure.
All
So
right.
is there anybody public comment? Yes.
So Sarah, if you have any public comment, you can make it.
Is she muted?
No, she is not.
Okay.
Okay, so no public comment.
Says she's muted.
Yes.
Yeah, I just muted again.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then if there's a reason for her to put her hand up, she can put her hand up and we can unmute again.
Okay.
So if, say, since we don't have a lot of people that attend these, what is the protocol for that? So if Sarah feels free to ask a question later on, she just didn't lose her opportunity to do that.
No, exactly. A lot of the time it's during, and here's where I really want Steve to guide us. But it's your call. Like, we can unmute Sarah for the whole meeting if you so desired. At the Park and Rec meeting, they generally have everybody up on the screen the whole time. You know, people who are just coming from the community and the board members. We can certainly do that. Other committees work on a much more strict protocol, and it's really just the members of the commission that are visible, and then there's just specific times. So again, it's kind of your pleasure.
Okay. So whatever you want to do, Tom.
I don't have the agenda in front of me, do you?
Well, I know, but okay, never mind. Yeah, yeah.
Again, Tom, we do have one attendee. If you want me to make Sarah able to talk during it, or if you want to just keep it until times when she would raise her hand and we would acknowledge at that point, it's your call.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, does she have anything she wants to add? I mean, clearly she's on for a reason. So
Yeah.
okay.
I'm fine with opening her mic up if she wants to.
Sure.
Just use the raise your hand function and then we can work that in.
Great.
So Sarah, welcome. All right, and then all right, so public comment. Now we have the minutes.
So it doesn't think her
So-
mic's working, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
from our standpoint, she's unmuted, so she may have muted herself and maybe she's just listening.
Okay.
She's on her computer. Is anybody getting that little text box?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
saw that.
Okay, I don't think my mic worked on my computer.
Yeah. So George, it does look like she's muted on our end.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I have checked it here. I've asked to unmute. We don't have, we haven't overridden her ability to talk.
Oh, she says she thinks it's on her end.
Oh, okay.
But can she hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she can.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. Well,
Yeah, so use the chat, that's fine. We can work through that
Right.
too. So did we want to, so Sarah, did you have any public comment that you wanted? We can revisit that. Did you have anything you wanted to add or ask a question of the group?
she's typing.
Okay. Okay, great. All right.
Wonderful,
fantastic.
welcome.
Yay, definitely. We're glad you're here. Okay, so the next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
And earlier, I had not seen the minutes from the previous meeting. Do we know if they are available at this point? I don't know if there had been an opportunity to get them together.
Well, what happened was we didn't pick officers until the very end of the last meeting, which was our first meeting. So I have scribbled notes, but now I don't know how to translate them. And I'm not quite sure how to use the software to actually do it. So we don't have any minutes for the first meeting yet, but I'm taking better minutes this time. So at least I'll know what to fill in.
And actually, Carol, I see under minutes, it says will be included in next month's meeting. So
Oh, yeah.
you took
Oh,
minutes as well.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and at the next month's meeting, we'll approve the original meeting and then this one as well.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
That secretary that's been so helpful in setting this all up, could she help you, Carol? If,
She has offered, I just hadn't gotten in touch with her yet.
okay,
Suzanne, yeah, I plan to
Yeah.
get in touch with her. I'm great at procrastinating sometimes, so, yeah.
We'll say you're busy.
It
All right.
always works, yeah.
All right. So
Now we're on to new business. And so we don't have a topic under there, but I was wondering, and maybe I guess I should have brought this up when we were considering approval of the agenda. Oh, did we want to talk about our site visits and Paul's proposal? And he did send an email that I forwarded, and I apologize for forwarding it from Leonard late. I sent it today. I don't know if anybody has had a chance. To
I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
I got it. I did read it. I think I was supposed to send that, right? I was supposed to send that out to everybody.
I don't know.
I don't know. We're learning as we go.
We're working our
well,
way
we
through
got
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I sent it, but I mean, I didn't know if maybe we should have sent it to Carol, and then because Carol's secretary, if she should, and so then it's coming from one,
Oh, that makes sense.
you know?
Yeah. So it comes from one source. So that I'm getting emails as the chair that I should forward to Carol to send out to everybody.
That
That's
would
how we
work.
should.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I understand that. Okay. Progress.
That's the thing about being the chair. You get to delegate.
With that. Okay. So then the email I got about tomorrow's meeting, I'll send to you, Carol. I'll forward it to you,
Okay,
and then we can decide. Obviously, none of us are going to be able to make it. We all work. So
if it's fake news or not, right, got it.
if it's fake news or not, but I think it was from the AC, George. I believe it was.
Okay.
Like I said, if I could figure out how to switch from my email to the Zoom call, I'd be able to access it, but I can't.
So I got cell phone in one hand and my
Yeah.
iPad for the meeting.
I need to do that. I need to get that set up. Because I don't know if you heard me earlier, Carol, all my emails on my phone, if I now delete them, they are now no longer on my desktop. Before, I used to be able to delete them from your phone and it would still be on your desktop. That is no longer the case. I don't know if that's a software update, but if I delete
That's a Google thing.
Yeah, well,
Google will do that to you.
I have Comcast, but yeah, it's new. I mean, they also updated their contacts. That's a whole nother fiasco I had to deal with this week. I mean, half my contacts I lost because I went through a group one and deleted all the ones I didn't want, and it deleted them out of every group contact I had. I had to go back and rebuild them all.
Oh my God.
Mm.
Yikes.
Yeah, they changed the way you edit it, and I didn't know. Anyway,
Okay. All right. So is it too late to, under the new business, which is kind of old business from our previous meeting, but do we want to discuss the site visits and the recommendations and the response back from Paul?
we can.
would
You
say-
have the email in front of you?
Yeah,
You want to read it?
sure. Greetings, Shade Tree Commissioners. Thanks for inviting me to your first Shade Tree Commission meeting. And again, congratulations. As suggested, I downloaded the street tree list from the Lower Merion and Springfield and shared them with Steve Mazzardi, who incorporated Mastardi. Is that it? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the nursery, the greenhouse, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And recently I received the notes from your 2 different site visits. Thank you for taking the time and offer your suggestions. I carefully reviewed and incorporated both sets of notes and ideas. In many instances, I've taken the advice and deleted trees originally spec'd. On the matrix, you'll see tree commission followed by new design. In most cases, I'm following your lead. The biggest difference is on the PennDOT right away in front of Niemeyer's chain link fence bordering BP gas. Carl Niemeyer himself suggested that area and so welcome it as a huge eyesore in present condition. There may be prohibitions from the 811 number marked for digging, market for digging, but I would like to try to get 3 vertical trees planted there. Since I visited with you, I found a source who will excavate 3.5-foot squares in the cement and asphalt as a courtesy to the township, complimentary to the project. And then there's an area opposite of Gentile's where a Nationwide sign sits and in a retention basin. That's owned by the Gentile family, and they're not willing to consider trees planted in the basin unless the township gives specific go-ahead. Fran Gentile remembers that when the basin was constructed, he was told no vegetation could be planted, which would interfere with its functioning. I requested a letter from you addressed to Fran saying it was okay. So we do need to talk about that, I guess.
Well, Fran,
Yeah,
can I stop you?
sure.
Franny, we do work for Franny and all. Yeah, he's pretty adamant in not having them put in the retention basin because the township engineer said if you put something in there and it gets in, well, it has to seep out. So if you get roots in there and everything, you're then ruining then you're having runoff, and there's a lot of water that goes in there. So he's like, he doesn't mind him being on top of the berm, obviously not right in front of the sign or anything, but along the edge of the berm or whatever like that, he has no problem with that. If it's
Okay.
not interference with anything. So
Is there room on the side of the berm to put anything?
yeah, what, 252 side? Well, I don't know what the PennDOT right of ways easements are and stuff like that, obviously,
And the wires are on that side of the street too. aren't
Yeah,
they?
but I mean, depends on what type of tree. I mean, if it's a small tree, I mean, those wires are way up there. And I think the retention basin's back away from there a little bit.
Yeah, it
A
is.
little bit.
Yeah.
So is there someone from the township that we would need to talk to about that? I mean, because I agree. I mean, I think that if it is a designated retention basin, then, they probably can't interfere with what's already been engineered. So, but is there a way to get confirmation of that?
Yeah, I think what we would need to do is check the development plan for when that basin went in and just see what parameters were given to Mr. Gentili when that happened. just because we don't want to go against what he was told.
Right.
But I think that's something that we could look up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know who, I think the engineer at that time was maybe Joel DeFreitas, or was he
Oh
the,
wow,
I mean, that's a long time ago.
it's a
I
while.
mean, we planted all the bushes around there when it was first done in the back and everything. I mean, I was probably 10 years old, 12 years old when that was done. 40 years ago, that was probably planted and done.
Yeah. So Fran owns a lot of properties. Do we know which property it is that we're talking about, so that I
It's
can
the
try to
one where
look
the
it up?
fire just was, where the office building, the brown office building,
The office building?
right on the corner there.
Oh yeah, the one right on the corner of
The southwest corner, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then in the next, he goes on to say the main contact from Byron, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, Boiron.
Oh, Boreon?
Yeah, there you go. And I had a lengthy conversation on 10/19, and he's sending over the funds to Newtown Square and Bloom. The executives wanted me to ask the National Realty if it would be possible to plant trees at 6 of their locations, beginning at Dunkin' Donuts, 252 Edge, to the side of the parking asphalt of what used to be the Best Auto Tag. Claude
Button.
Button, okay, has replied yes. And here's where we are. The first tree orders for 15 trees has been assembled and ordered last week. The balance of the trees will be ordered once we've received the remaining approvals and notifications from Market to Dig number. And then, let's see.
Earl Ebling.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, is undertaking the planting of the first wave of 15 trees, 11, 18, and afterwards. And then he brings up the unresolved areas. Budget, we're over budget by $2,000 if we plant all the trees suggested by the Shade Tree Commission and National Realty add-ons. Sorry, how do you say that again?
Oh,
You say
Boreon.
Claude. Oh, Boreon.
Borean, okay, has allowed us to run up another $1,000, but we're not authorized beyond that at this point. Wawa, they don't know who owns it, and does anybody know who to ask?
Claude owns it. Claude owns all of it.
Okay,
He owns the whole corner. He owns Dunkin' Donuts. He owns everything. The
okay,
whole corner he owns.
all right. All right, okay, so since we know that answer, how then would we officially respond then back to Pa? Would we just send an email? Or
guess.
how would that work?
I guess he would have to get, well, Claude doesn't care, right? That the trees are going in. And there's a planting bed there at Wawa anyway, that small planting bed. I mean, I don't know what kind of trees you plan putting in there. And I don't know if they're gonna come in there and rip everything down eventually, what the site plan would be if, the whole road would be cut back, for, turn lane or whatever eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of iffy areas where you're trying to put trees in the ground. In this-
Could we get a list of the species and quantity of each tree that were?
Did he not provide that last time?
He had a tree list and we gave him suggestions of which ones we thought would be better and which ones we thought weren't.
Yeah, but I just wonder what trees he actually ended up buying
Okay.
and where they're going.
So how do we respond to that? We ask for a list of the trees he's asked for the list.
Obviously, you ordered them already, apparently, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure, but we didn't
So you
approve
must know
anything.
what he did. What?
But we didn't approve anything, right?
Well,
I think we approved it the first meeting, didn't we? But you just had to do the site visit where they'd go. We didn't.
Did we approve the types of trees?
No,
No.
I don't think we did. We just recommended the types. Didn't you, Carol, recommend what were good
Yeah,
examples?
we pretty much went through and said which ones we didn't think were going to do very
Right.
well. And then he had the rest of them to pick from.
Right.
So we ordered off of that list.
Right.
Well, and then he also got the list from the Lower Marion shade tree and the Springfield, which you recommended, Robert.
What's that? Oh, for me, yeah, yeah.
So
So
I guess he
there's-
picked from those two lists too.
Could be. There's more to that letter too, anyway.
Yeah. So we're almost done. So then Cavallo, in your narratives, you spoke of Stratford School, open grassy area that's actually owned by Cavallo, and the request is in, but needs approval to get the green light for 4 trees. If anyone knows Cavallo ownership, nudge forward would be welcomed. So then the letter to Fran explaining that it'd be okay for trees in the basin. I think we're kind of iffy on that one. I think we should hold off on that. And then a backhoe, they're looking for one. Earl has agreed to do planting, although if anyone else wants to help out and a volunteer at a rate of $100 per tree for installation, we're listening. All other owners are on board. Thanks for your input. Feel free to ask questions. Paul. Does anybody have a backhoe? I thought he had that. Didn't he say that in the beginning? He had someone that was going to excavate.
Yeah. Somebody was going to excavate for the tree wells, right?
Right.
Do you know who that is, George? Did you hear that or anything?
I'm presuming it's Paul Seligson.
No, I said, did you hear who's going to excavate them?
Oh, no. Actually, this is.
I mean, like around Niemeyer's and all? I
Yeah,
know. I talked to Eddie the other day.
Steve is here.
Hi, Steve.
Late. Oops, there we go.
Hello?
Hello,
Oh,
sorry
there
I'm
he
so
is.
late.
No problem.
I can't be in 2 places even on Zoom.
All right, Steve, you're officially the host now.
Oh, you were quick to do that, George.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure where we are, so
So where we are is that we're on new business, which is sort of like old business-ish.
Yep.
We're reviewing the letter that Paul sent to us in response to our comments on the planting plan and our site visits.
okay.
And so we're just going through a number of his comments, and then he had a few questions and we had a few questions, so we were just deliberating
Gotcha.
and trying to figure out how to respond to some of his questions. If that's something we should do in an email directly back to him, or how is correspondence supposed to actually occur? Or do we go through you guys, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so typically I would say we want to have an official correspondence that's, if the board takes action as a board, then you respond as a whole, right? And that's the key. Your power doesn't lie with any one individual, it lies with all 5 of you together. And so, usually what we do is, if you want a specific response, sometimes one of you will draft it and then we'll send it out on behalf of the board. And, we would do that and send it out that way. The one challenge that we have is that there is a timing factor on this particular issue. Trying to get in before the ground freezes and also trying to get in before the end of the year. So you got 2 things that we're trying to accomplish. So I wouldn't want to do anything that holds that up. If you guys have a plan and you want to say, here's where we are, if you're not getting something, then I would want, if there's something that's being held up, then I would want to get involved on a day-to-day basis and help get you home where we need to be.
Yeah, because his letter said something about he's starting planting on the 18th.
He's bought the
you-
trees he's gotten the trees already, so.
Please
Do you want me
order
to try to
them,
text him? Do you want me to try to text him on his cell phone and see if he could jump on the meeting? Would that be easier? Would that be
Yep.
okay, Steve?
That's fine. If he wants to jump on, we can.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely get him
I'll
on.
text him real quick and see if he can jump on the meeting. I'll text his cell. Sometimes he doesn't answer for days, but you know, depending on where he is.
Not Paul.
No.
Steve, so you know, there was one question as it was being read in, that there were trees they were looking to put in the retention basin at Gentili's, one of the Gentili's properties. And Fran Gentili had believed that there were restrictions on planting anything in there from the township engineer. And so I had said we would have to look and see if there was anything in our record when the retention basin went in that would prohibit the trees from going there. Did I explain
Well,
that
and-
properly, Pat?
Yes,
And it may be then that we would, we would talk to our current engineer and say, is that still I mean, I would think that retention basin's been in for quite a while. He's been there quite a while. So, the good stormwater practices may have changed that would say, what I've heard is that the basins possibly should be planted with some
plants that like wet
vegetation that
feet,
would,
yeah.
Yeah.
that would be water desiring and would help to use the water that gets in the basin and would hold some of that water and keep it from going on to the next location.
Typically, that's a rain garden though now, not trees.
Yeah, but depending on some trees, I guess, are also more water resistant but yeah, I know typically it is a rain garden.
Yeah, I mean, from my past experience of cleaning a lot out for condo associations and stuff, they don't want any trees in the basin and things. They want that water to sit in there and flow out and filtrate through it. They don't want, they just did the one up the street there on the corner of campus,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
the problem a lot of
overflowing.
times is the leaves get in and block it up, and so
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Well, the tree roots to it, then it messes up the flow going through the thing. Then you get back up and dams, and then it doesn't work properly.
Right.
I texted him. I don't know if he'll show up or not, but
Yeah, I think we just nixed that idea. Why even? It's put a square peg in a round hole trying to get something in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. We
Like I
probably
said,
should look
Franny-
at doing a
Franny
rain
didn't-
garden in there on the township side, but not the trees.
yeah, Franny didn't
Fine as
have a
grass.
problem on the hill.
Yeah, the hell, that's doable. But then you're closer to the road, right?
Well, probably a good, because there is a little indentation there in the road, like the shoulder. And then you probably have 25, 30 feet to the top of the berm, thereabouts. So, it's plenty of room,
Top of the berm isn't in the berm.
right.
Me, I would stay out of it. Why even bother? The berm's functioning fine.
Yeah. And then some of the questions that we had was for Paul, that we would like to know what the final plant list was, and we didn't recall actually approving the planting list, and we weren't sure if that was something we had to do. I think it was kind of like we sort of told him what we thought was not appropriate and everything else was okay. And then he pulled from other lists. So do we need to actually approve the plant list before they go in? I guess is my question for you, Steve.
I think ultimately, yes, you should. Mostly if there would be a concern that that whatever he was planning wouldn't hold up or would be someplace where we don't want it. That's the biggest key. I don't know that you have to go through and say, yes, this one's at this location. Yes, this one's at this location. But I definitely think you want to be able to say, we're in general agreement with what he's doing. And if you agree to the whole thing that he's doing, I think you're probably fine. But if you feel, if you're in question of something that he's doing, then I think we ought to make sure we put that on the record.
I think the only thing that we had a question about was the retention pond. And I thought everything else was pretty much okay. We just didn't know which trees he actually selected.
Oh, he didn't tell you?
Well, we had a list of trees that he was proposing. And then he pulled from other tree board lists as well. But we just don't know exactly what trees he selected, because he mentioned in his email that he bought, that trees have been purchased. So we just don't know what trees those are.
I think he needs to report that back to you.
Great. We need to know exactly what he's putting in the ground
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a board.
So do we need to make a motion on that, or what's the?
Well, I think the hard part is not knowing what he actually has. It's hard to make the motion on that.
Yeah, I mean, do we need to make a motion on asking him for the plant list, or is that just something we just?
I don't think we need to make a motion on it. I think we just need to go ahead and state that we need to get the list from him.
Okay,
And then we
Who
could
does
just
that?
include them in the minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
And who does that? Who goes after him for the list? Who contacts him?
If,
Rob, is that you?
Me? I guess.
Know
yeah.
him, Rob?
Yeah, I could get in touch with him. I'll call him.
Yeah, so if you get the list, send it to Carol. Carol will forward it to all of us, right? That'd be the path.
Yeah.
Got it.
There you go. Okay, so then we need his list.
And he said, what, 15 he got?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we don't want him going over budget, right?
right.
And we need to know exact locations.
Because we all made suggestions on locations, but we don't know which ones he decided to take.
Yeah.
yeah, I think he needs to submit a plan to you with the trees and the locations that he plans on planting,
Yeah.
and that you're approving the whole.
Right.
Leonard's on the thing now?
Yep.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever he responded to you, I don't think he included me in that response. Because the last email I have from Paul is 10/22.
He had actually sent it to Leonard, then Leonard sent it to
Okay.
Tom and I, and then I shared it with the commission.
Okay,
So I can forward it to you right now, Steve.
yeah, and that way I can follow up if there's any problems, I can make sure that we stay on top of it and get it done, because I know everybody's busy.
Okay, it's on your way. So
Thank you.
now, so in order for us to approve this, and it's time sensitive, do we need to have, once he sends that to us, do we need to review it? And then do we need to reconvene and have maybe an ad hoc meeting to approve it, since we're on a tight schedule?
I would think so.
I mean, to officially approve it, yes. Let me really quick. Hold on one second.
Carol, you had the wrong background. The leaves are coming on the tree. It's fall time.
It-
At first, I'm like, where's she, in Florida or something? I'm like, oh, wait, that's just the background.
Well, I went
So-
to picked a plant from the college. It's my treaty elm at the college. It's pretty cool
I
tree.
think excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Go
cut you
ahead.
off.
Go ahead.
I think what you could do, if you wish to, is say that if the trees are, you know, I mean, one of the things that you guys were asking for them to be were natives, I believe. And if they were appropriate to that location upon review, if the locations were what you had agreed to as a group and the tree species were what you had agreed to as a group, that you would approve it condition on, you know, maybe 2 of you reviewing it. And then that you could ratify that at the next meeting with the idea that it's within what everybody has agreed to. And then you could take an official action at the next meeting and have it just for the record. But that would have to, it would have to meet some level of, you would have to set some level of requirement tonight that it would have to meet. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think the only deviation that he has from what we recommended was they're actually going to in front of where is that?
Niemeyer's or something? No, not
Niemeyer's,
Niemeyer's.
right.
Right. So that's,
Tree pits.
yeah, and I mean, and I mean, are we we're okay with that? We just, I mean, I'm looking to you guys because you're the experts.
It all depends upon the utilities that are under there.
Yeah, utilities, it's a whole other ballgame trying to, it's just basically a big planter. And if they don't live, they're gonna look terrible. Right, I mean, I don't like anything in a planter.
Obviously, it's gonna have to be a skinny tree too.
Yeah, I just think you nix the whole idea in front of Niemeyer's with a planter box. You know, that they need to be maintained properly. And who's gonna be doing that?
Yeah, let's start with the ones in the dirt, in the ground
Yeah.
first.
Walk before we run, right?
Yeah.
So it does sound like though that Carl, the owner, wants them there and welcomes it. So could we do it with a commitment that he helped maintain them?
Why not? As long as
Now,
he's living. There'll be planter boxes. If the trees die, he has to maintain them and they have to be planted with something. As opposed to just blank, empty boxes. They look terrible.
and which side of the fence they going on? The inside of the fence or the outside of the fence? There's only like from the curb to the fence, there's not too much room.
I agree.
If there's 3 feet there, there's 3 feet there. I bet you there's not that much.
Well, how would anybody be able to walk along there then?
Well, I think isn't it right in front of that storefront that he's looking at? I mean,
No, he's talking like where the propane tank is down to the BP.
All right, so then yeah, we need a plan to see where exactly these are going. He spray paints it out that we can see it. Right, as opposed to just that gets tabled for now until we see. And then I have another question too. If we go ahead and 2 of us approve whatever we talk about tonight, the next meeting is December 9th, give them enough time to get them in the ground. Right, it has to happen before the end of the year.
and before the ground freezes.
Right. It probably won't be frozen by then, hopefully not.
Well, doesn't it say he wants to start planting on the 18th?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was thinking we need an ad hoc meeting.
I mean,
We
we
got
can
two-
do
we
an
got
ad
2
hoc
weeks.
meeting and I'm glad to do that for you. I'm just saying, if you could come up with something that you're all comfortable with in saying, if the plants meet the native requirement, they, you know, they are planted in the locations that everybody agrees will work, you know, and you can be specific enough for that, you know, the 2 members who are going to review it can review it and say, yes, this meets it, or no, this doesn't, then I think you're okay. If you can't do that and you then feel like that, then we'll just have another meeting. I mean, it's not a big deal. I just advertise and say that you're having another meeting. I just have to advertise 24 hours in advance to allow somebody to, you know, join in.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can do the definite locations that we know are going to work. Right, we can approve those tonight. And then the other ones, at least you can get started on those. And then the locations that Rob, you're talking about, he needs to map them out before we approve of anything. And then that we can decide by the end of the, our next meeting. And that's the 9th. I'll give him 3 weeks to get them in the ground. That make sense?
Now, are we going to depend upon him to pick the locations exactly, or should we go with, put little X's with white paint and see what, and have him look at it?
That's a good call.
Well, they gotta do the PA1 call first for the sites where they're gonna go.
Right. And then what's he planning there? We need to know what type of tree and where the utilities mark. Is it even possible?
Yeah, he says the first tree order for 15 trees has been assembled and ordered last week. The balance of the trees will be ordered once we receive the remaining approvals and notification from the market to dig number. And then Earl's Landscaping is undertaking the planning of the first wave of the 15 trees on 11/18 and afterwards. So, I mean, it's coming up quick.
He can't do anything without our approval, right? First,
Well, he's bought the trees already, though.
right? But we need to map the locations exactly as to where they're going. And do we want to have him flag it? So we can take a look at, 2 of us can go take a look and approve, right?
That'd be a good idea.
Why don't we do that? Let's have him get us the list of the trees that he's purchased already, the 15, flag where he intends to put them, and then 2 of us can go look at it and approve it. And the rest we can table until the meeting on the 9th of December. Right?
Mhm.
I don't know how to proceed from there as far as protocol, but that's what I would think makes sense.
Well, that sounds a lot like a motion. So you can make a
There you
motion.
go. Motion for approval on that.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
but I think you got to repeat it because I'm a little lost in it. So
and I
Okay,
have to
so-
write it down.
Okay, so
Motion.
from Paul, we need a list of the types of trees that he's purchased, the 15 trees that he's purchased. Let me know when you're ready, Carol.
Got it? Next.
We need him to identify where they are going.
Flag where they're going?
Yep, flag where they're going.
Well, in writing first.
so a planting plan.
Planting plan. Okay.
Okay.
Planting plan and identify where they're going.
And then tell us so that we can go check it out.
Right. And 2 of us can go check it out.
And you can't approve it, right, Steve?
Notify us for approval.
So I think the one thing would be is, like, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can pull it up. He sent a location list of where he was suggesting planting trees. And if you're in agreement with where that was or what you sent back, because you sent back I think you sent back to him places that he could plant. And if they're in those places, then I would think what you want to make sure, though, is that if the trees match the trees that you suggested and they match the locations that you suggested, then he could move forward on the 18th without you coming back together. But I would think 2 of you would want to review that just to make sure you have a solid understanding of what he's doing. And then you could approve everything else on the 9th. And that would give him time, and you could be in a communication with him related to, hey, look, we think that it would be better to get some of this species or whatever your suggestion would be. If I don't know what he's done, the 15 trees may all be the same. Who knows? And so, you want to kind of figure that out, and then figure out from if you can lock in that the species that he's selected so far and the locations that he's going to go so far are in agreement with you as a group. And whether that's where you all went out and looked and said, here's the ones, or whether you say, you know, he marked out 10 spots and we agree to spots 1, 3, 5, and 9, or whatever that is, then that gives enough direction to the people that are reviewing it to be able to say, we can match that up with the board's desire. If you leave it too broad, you may not be able to figure out, is that really what everybody has agreed to?
Yeah. And then for the future trees, we'd kind of like to know in advance what he's proposing to buy.
Yeah. And I think the challenge is that the order time, my guess is, you know, and getting it in the ground before the end of the year is probably a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think we want to be clear too, that, I mean, at this point, the board's not giving you a budget you're not able to sit here and say, hey, we're going to give you an extra $1,000 to make up the difference, you know? So if he's going to spend $1,000 more, he needs to know where that's coming from, but it's not from a township budget that you are in control of. And I'm assuming George doesn't have $1,000 sitting around to spend on trees right now that we haven't already spoken for, because George is buying 15 or 20 trees right now already.
15.
15.
Yeah, we're getting 15.
Yeah, so I mean, we've already committed to purchasing 15 trees, so we're not in a position to turn around and do something different because we're using that money right now. Now, I do have a meeting Monday night. I could present it to the board if you're interested in, you know, doing that, but I'd have to put it before the board, and Leonard's on, and he may say, I don't think we should do that, and that's fine too, but I could do that.
The additional $1,000, right, if needed.
Yeah. But I mean, a part of me saying, you know, we were given an amount. I don't know why we would go over the amount. I mean, you know, we go and get more trees later, but plant what we have, plant to the dollar amount that we've been given. And, you know, I think we want to plant a lot more trees. You know, the goal of the stormwater management plan is to plant 1,000 trees in the township. So, but, you know, we're not going to do them all tomorrow. And so,
Right.
You know, it's like if we have somebody that's given us X number of dollars and they've said, go, and this is what we're willing to give you, I would say that's what you have to spend. You have a budget. And
Yeah, and and just to kind of chime in there, I agree with that, Steve. I think that's probably the mentality that we should have thinking on that is we have X amount, let's spend X amount today or tomorrow, and then the next wave, you know, we'll address the budget for the next one. Because we're getting it started, which is what we all want, and which is
Right.
what's going to happen. So we'll get it started, and then, you know, we don't have to do, you know, like Steve said, we need to plant 1,000 trees as part of the MS4. We're not going to do that in a week. We're not going to do that in one season. So just doing it incrementally, I think is probably best.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, the MS4 plan hasn't even been approved yet. So I don't really want to be planting trees until it is, but I mean, we've got this, and there's nothing wrong with planting trees. So I'm happy that we're doing it, but I'd really prefer to make it part of the project because 1,000 trees is a lot of trees.
All right. I agree.
So is this a motion or not?
I think it is. I think the
Yeah.
only thing that I think that you ought to do is give some specifics as whether it's locations that you've agreed to in your emails, that it has to be in one of those locations, and it has to be species that are native and appropriate to that location that he's putting them. And if 2 of you approve that, then that's enough.
Okay.
Sarah has a question.
Well, but don't we have a motion on the,
Well, I think you
The
need
motion
to
on the
make the
floor,
full
right?
motion, and then you could take questions if you wanted to.
Okay, so just so I follow that, we need to let Paul know that as long as the species and location are in agreement with 2 of the members of the board, it'll be approved by the remainder of the board. And that's what we're agreeing to, right?
The only thing I guess I would say is be specific as to the location. Are you referring to the locations that, I know that you went out as two different groups. And I think you came back and said, here are the locations that we think, if I remember right, here are the locations that we think are good places to plant.
Yes.
And if they're in those locations, then it would be okay versus saying it's in the, versus what he has at
Correct.
locations, because I think you felt a couple of his locations were not the best choice, if I remember right.
Correct.
And so I think you want to be specific that it's your locations, that if it's in one of those, if it's in one of the locations that you've approved as a group, then it would be those places that he could plant.
But don't we
Does that
need a
make
plan
sense
for
what I'm
that
saying?
to, don't we need a plan for that to say, okay, this is, because do we have anything, we didn't, I don't think we put anything in concrete that these are the locations. We discussed them, but. do we-
Well, I think if you were to say we approve the locations that we went out and looked at, and maybe you need to do that step first, then you could do that, if that makes sense, if you follow what I'm saying. Am I
We
making
did
it too
we did
confusing?
an email, didn't we, that basically agreed with one or two? And then I think we added a couple locations that
Yes,
he
you
might
did.
consider on the other side of the street.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If
Yeah.
it matched the locations that you guys had on your emails, then I think you're safe because you all came to a conclusion that those were good locations. But I think you also had some that were different than his, that he had some that you felt were not good locations. And so you want to be clear that they don't end up in those locations.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay, so in our original, everybody see that?
Mhm.
That was our, John, I think is when you and I walked around on areas that we agree with, approve, yes or no.
So I have the notes that Carol and I worked on from our site visit. I pulled those up. I can share my screen and show those notes. Would that be helpful?
Probably.
Sure,
Okay.
probably.
It'd be interesting to see, Trish, how many spots we approved of, because it was like 10 spots on one side and 10 on the other. But I
Mhm.
was wondering how many of those were ones that how many of those did we X out and how many
There you go.
did we think were good?
Right, so when John and I walked around, if you don't mind me chiming in, 1 and 2 were a no. 3,
On the west side.
yes, on the west side.
So this is the BP.
No, on the other side, Trish, the left side, the west side.
We'll
Oh,
start on
sorry,
that
my
side.
bad.
Okay.
So
So,
the vet, I think we also,
Said no, yeah.
right,
Oh, yeah, there we go.
there you
Yeah.
go. So,
he said no here. So the animal hospital was a no.
For both spots.
1 and 2, locations 1 and 2, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So you
Right.
guys were on the same board, same page with us on
Yes,
that? Okay.
yes.
And then 3 and 4.
And
are-
5,
3, 4, and
Have those-
5 were good.
Right.
no, but he has not approval for it. He doesn't have
Right.
approval from Cavello to do it.
That's not Cavallo, though, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what he said in his email.
Oh, is that the school's green space that he owns that?
Yep,
God, it's Cavallo.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
yeah, so that still has to be approved.
I don't know where he's gonna put these 15 trees. George, you got a place for him?
Are they bare root? Do we know?
What's
What
that?
was it?
Do we know
Are
if they're
they
bare
bare
root
root
trees?
We do not know. They're probably not. They're probably being big.
I don't think they're super huge trees. Because I was talking to Eddie Ebling that's gonna plant them, and it didn't sound like that they were big trees. I don't think they're like 3 or 4 inch caliber trees or anything like that.
Oh, thank goodness.
Well, they wouldn't fit. That'd be a disaster. It'd be tough to get in there. But that spots
It
3,
requires too much equipment to get a big tree like that in anyway, so
right, right.
smaller is better.
3, 4, and 5 are the nicest places to put trees, and we don't even have approval.
Right.
You're
So
right,
so 6 is a no.
Right.
7 and 8
correct.
are a maybe.
That's what we said too. We said.
You know,
it's
I mean,
fine.
it's tight. And I
Yeah,
talked
that's
to
at
Chuck, and-
Malloy's Garage.
right, I talked to Chuck about it. I know Chuck, and he's, I don't know what we're gonna put in there. The beds are narrow, cars. I don't know how well that's gonna work.
Gentili's owns that
clouds.
too.
Do they? So, all right, Delchester Pet Supply, location 9.
Yeah, we said no to that one.
Yep, no. All right, so that's
No
out.
pavement.
Right.
And then the
So-
nationwide, and then that's the one with so we're agreeing at this meeting that that might be a no because it's the retention.
In the basin,
Yeah.
like Rob said.
In
we
the
go-
basin, but
In
the
Franny
basin.
said it's fine to go on top of the hill.
Okay,
Like on the berm of the retention basin, which I don't think that ruins the integrity of a retention pond anyway. You know,
Yeah, not on top.
no.
But still, all right, that's maybe what? 3 trees there? We got 12 to go.
so so now we are on the east side.
East
So up
side.
here, 1 and 2 is at the BP.
Yeah, and you said maybe, and I agree with both of them. I mean,
Yeah.
and I both agree with their, number 1 spot was a maybe, 2 was a no, 3's a no, 4's a no.
Right.
Yeah, the open space at 5 and 6, Niemeyer space green lot, sure, that works.
Oh, I forgot to make that one green. So we said 5, 6, 7 was okay. But so here's the question though, at Niemeyer though, where the impervious surface is, that's the one where he's saying that the owner is actually wanting those planters there. So I agree with you, Tom. I mean, it's difficult and is going to require maintenance. And so would we want to say our approval is contingent upon a commitment from the landowner to maintain or help maintain and whatever needs to be done with those trees? And then if they do die, what do we do then? Is there a commitment then to plant something else?
By who? Him?
By him. Yeah, if he wants it. We're saying no. The owner's saying, well, I would really like them. We're skeptical it's going to work, but we
I
just
think it's
want it to be
appropriate-
nice. Oh, sorry, Steve.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, I think it's appropriate for you as a committee to say, if they're wanted and there's some kind of an agreement to maintain them, and that they will maintain the spaces if the trees die, and that means that they put another tree back there in that location, or replace whatever was there. Like, I think the idea is we don't want an open space of dirt, right? And so it might mean that they have to come back and fill in, I think it's asphalt in that location. But it would, I think that would be maybe another option after they've tried twice. I mean, if it keeps killing trees, it doesn't make sense to do that. But, I think you can say as a group, we're okay with this if this condition is met. And then it's incumbent upon him to get the condition met. It's not you having to go get the condition.
Okay.
And I would do it by saying that they have an agreement that's approved by the township solicitor, and that's how we would go. And Leonard, you can jump in and tell me if you think I'm wrong there, but that's how I would do it.
No, I think that what you said there is fine, and I agree with how you phrased it. The one thing I do just want to add, and it's not necessarily related to that topic at all, but if you can disable the comments, and just so the members from the Shade Tree Commission know this too, and so to Sarah and to Ms. Mitros and to Ms. Brady, because of the Sunshine Act, the members of this commission should not be answering those comments
Oh, sorry.
because it's not part of the public record. So we cannot answer, we should not, as the commission, be answering questions on that because of the Sunshine Act. It needs to be in the public realm. So not everyone is privy to this text box. So I just wanted to add that in there, Steve, if you can disable that so we don't run into any issues with that.
Yep. Thank you. I wasn't watching it.
Doesn't mean that your questions aren't going to be answered. It's just that in that context, or in that format, I should say, we just, underneath the Sunshine Act, the members of this commission would be violating the act if they were to answer those questions in there without it being in the public public forum.
It's not letting me
Answers.
disable it, but we won't answer any questions without allowing the folks to talk and do it.
Without Sarah's questions, right? Is that what you're saying?
They'll have to ask their questions so that we have it as a formal record that they've asked the question.
Yeah, sorry, I just chatted her to let her know that we'll open it up to questions once we have a motion on the floor.
I am trying to get rid of it, but it's not letting me.
There was a second page. In addition to, the 10 on one side of the street and the 10 on the other side of the street. And then on the back side, there was another sheet that showed 5 more locations.
Was that down by the Wawa that way?
That's right.
Yeah,
I remember that, John. I don't know what I did with it.
Carol and I didn't do a site visit there.
We didn't either.
well, I sort of did.
Oh, good.
Good for you.
So report out, John. What do you think?
There was room for a number of trees there. Considerably more room than the 20 spaces, because it's more open and there's a school on that side. So there was room there, and I can't get at the list of 5 spaces because my wife is having a Zoom meeting in my office.
If
Not
you
easy.
allow me to share my screen,
Sure.
I will do it.
How do I turn my screen on?
If you just, let me click on it. It may let me just override you.
Oh,
Yeah.
there, I can stop share.
Okay. Can you all see my screen now?
No, this,
Yes,
oh, there it is.
Oh,
Yep.
there it is.
So you have 1 and 2. This is on this side of the street. This is where the Wawa is.
mm-hmm,
This is the Dunkin' Donuts spot.
yeah,
This was where the old Wawa, so just to kind of give everybody perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where the historic house is.
right.
Wow.
And there's room in front of the historic house.
So
More room
those are
than
the,
it looks like.
and you're saying there could be more there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was wondering about across the street. There's room for a couple trees on that school or whatever it is,
The
The
church?
church,
the church.
St.
Okay.
Albans.
So are you, as a group, semi-comfortable with these 5 locations, that if 2 of you had agreed to it, that you would allow them to plant in those locations?
I am. If
I am.
Sure,
agreed, sure.
Yes.
yeah.
So, and then based on John's, I think it was John, right?
Mhm.
John's comment about this side of the road, you could agree, if you agree with what he said there, you think there's room for like 3 or 4 over there based on what I'm looking at, maybe?
Yeah, there is. If he has, of the 15 trees, if he has trees left over, once we do the listed spots, then across the street would be a good place to put the leftover trees.
So as I see it, you're saying that possibly spots 7, 8, and 10 on the west side,
Mhm.
you would agree to spots, whoops, let me go back up here. You would agree to spots 3, 4, and 5 if he got permission.
Correct.
That would be 15, I think, right there.
Would it? Okay.
With those 3, I think that's 15.
You get 15 trees. I mean, you could get 15 trees in there.
No. The 3, 4, and 5 would be total 15 trees that he has to plant at this time.
Right,
That's
that's
the
all-
2 at Gentilly's, 2 at Malloy's, Euro Pizza, like 3 between like Euro Pizza and Niemeyer's green space there, if you put 2 there.
There's
And then
one,
like
two,
two at Wawa, 1 at Dunkin' Donuts, 1 at the old Wawa, and 1 in front of Duran's, the old surveyors, the old building.
Whoops, we're going the wrong way.
8 and 5 is 13. 14, 15, okay.
Correct?
So you could give him 15 spaces. You've just, is everybody clear with what the 15 spaces are? I think I missed 2, but that's fine, as long as you all are clear.
The 2 on the berm, probably.
Okay. So if you're,
I don't know where he's
if you're
gonna put them in
comfortable,
Malloy's, but
I'm sorry?
I don't know where he's gonna put them in Malloy's, but
Right, I don't know where you put it in Malloy's.
I don't know if he's putting them in between,
Malloy's
is
true.
one going in between,
And
the
the only
office
2,
building? Between the office building driveway and Malloy's? I think there's a little green space there.
Yes.
there's a little green space on each side of Malloy's there.
Yeah, but that's so small. What are you going to get in there?
I don't know. I'll push it over with my snow plow when I plow.
There you go.
It's better than a 3-foot square and blacktop.
I agree with that. Yeah, but you could put those trees, if the church would let you, on the east side of 252, St. Albans right there. There's room over there.
So I think that if he would come up with those places, if you're in agreement with those, then it gives you, I think there's enough direction for you as a group to give the 2 people who are reviewing it to know where they can go.
It works for me.
Does that work? So that you could be that specific?
Yep.
We
Okay.
just still need permission from Cavallo, right?
That's, but you're leaving that up to him to get that. You're not trying to, that's not your role. You're just saying if he gets
Okay.
permission, he can do 3 trees there.
And whoever owns the new Wawa, I don't know who owns the new Wawa.
Well, that's BPG.
They still own the property there?
Well,
it's-
I think it's a holding company now, but yes.
Who knows, right?
But I mean, if you go, there's still the property maintenance people for it.
And basically, you're talking with like 3 owners, Niemeyer, because Niemeyer owns Euro Pizza, he owns, the grass spot in between. And then you're talking Franny Gentili owns, like Malloy's, and all the rest of the stuff along there. And then plus you have those 2 spots there, the open space where the old Napa building was, between that and Enterprise. You have a spot there too that you could put trees if he had them,
Yep.
if they wouldn't go someplace else. Like if you couldn't get approval from, what do you call it? Cavello or Wawa didn't want them, you could always move them up there on Franny's spot there. Obviously, if it gets developed, they would probably go, but, more trees would be planted in their place, or those just transplanted and put back when they were done, whatever they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think you can agree on your spots, it sounds like, and then I think you could be still pretty broad on your statement of the species. And that as long as they're not the native and they were with what you had come up with, and, or they were equivalent, then you could probably have 2 people review that and you could be comfortable and then just ratify it at your next meeting.
It works.
So is that enough for a motion?
I think so.
Okay,
All right. So I motion.
I'll second.
All right.
And now because we know there's some people that want comment, I would suggest we open it up for them to comment.
Okay. Open up the public comment. They leave.
No, so Sarah has a question. Do we need to unmute her? Or she was having trouble with her mic though, so that's why we were using the chat.
But we're not allowed to use that chat box. Is that right?
She's allowed to talk though.
But she's
I'm
having
gonna-
trouble with her mic.
It's preferable that she's like, let's say in a perfect world, her microphone works. It's preferable that it is her speaking, because if not, every single question or every comment that she has, it's got to be read into the record.
Right.
You have to, the whole thing is creating a record and keeping a record. So that's why, under the Sunshine Act, everything has to be in the public forum. So if the microphone doesn't work, which I hope it does, then you guys can, as the commission, would have to, or Tom would have to make that decision and then read everything in there. Which is fine. It just puts a chilling effect on how she can get her comment out there.
All right, I don't mind if she has a comment. Since her microphone isn't working, I can read her questions.
Sarah, you should be able to talk now. It shows that your mic is open.
She was having problems on her end.
Yeah, it's showing that it's unmuted though. Give me 1 second.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I might have found the magic button. Okay. So my question was, is I've heard this meeting and I was curious if these ordinances also apply to residential zones in addition to the business zones.
The shade tree ordinance itself?
Yes.
Yes.
There was like 20
Yes.
pages.
Yes, it's 19 pages.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
So if
So
I
it-
have a concern of a resident near my house that has marked several trees to be removed and the damage that would cause for the watershed and other issues in the neighborhood, how does that go about being addressed?
Supposed to get a permit, right?
Yeah, it should be getting a permit. So what is the location?
It is at Walnut Street and College Avenue.
Okay. Sarah,
And
what's your,
yeah,
have an address here?
I'm at 16 Walnut Street. It's a lot across the street from me.
Okay.
I don't know what address it
Is
would
this
be.
the empty lot?
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying there's some trees that are marked for removal?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so what I'll do is I'll turn that over to our codes department to go out. I believe one of the challenges we have is, I don't remember who, I know they know who owns the property, but I think it's not a person that lives within the township. So but we'll work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Steve,
Yes,
doesn't the ordinance state it has to be 6 or more trees, 12-inch in caliber?
it does. I just want to make sure how many are marked. And there may actually be an issue that we've actually told him he has to take a couple of these down because of safety issues.
Yeah, there may be ash trees. Where is it again? It's Walnut and what?
It's at the corner of
College.
Walnut and College.
Walnut and College. Trying to think.
Yeah, it's I'm almost sure I know exactly where it is. It's a small lot that already has some trees that are laying over, and we're making them clean them up.
Next to the old house.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I think it's a big sycamore there or something.
No, this is further
It's in-
down the street.
Oh, is it further down the street?
Yes. The lot you're talking about is College and
Chestnut.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Anything else? Is that it for public comment?
Yeah.
I have no further comment.
Let me see if. Let me go back over here. Sarah, I believe it, not Sarah, it's Stephanie. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Yep. That would be it.
Okay. So we good?
Okay, if we may, while that was going on, I was scribbling down what I thought might be the wording for the motion. So let's see if I got it right. Motion. The commission needs to receive from Paul Seligson a tree list of the purchased trees and a list of chosen planting sites. If these both are approved by the board, then the project may proceed.
Yeah, but you're giving two people right now the approval, so you might list who the two people are as part of that motion,
Okay.
and that'll be
And
ratified. at
both
the
are
next meeting.
approved by,
And whoever made the motion should put who they suggest as the two people be.
So if I made the motion, I suggest the two people to go. Is that how it works?
If you made the motion, yes.
yeah, it's your dime.
Robert and John, can you guys handle that?
Yeah, I can talk to Paul and set up something.
John, you good?
Yeah, so you'll get in touch with me, Robert?
Yes, I think I have. I think Suzanne gave us all the emails and phone numbers of everybody.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe so. And who seconded?
Nobody yet. We hadn't
Oh,
gotten that
nobody?
far.
Okay,
Oh, we did. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Who seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? Do we have to do the all in favor thing?
Mhm.
Yeah,
All in favor?
aye.
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 Oh, sorry. Did we forget to put the contingent on the impervious surface in front of Niemeyer's?
yeah.
We
You
forgot
can
to
go
add
back
that.
and do that.
Can we amend the motion to include that?
Probably should do it as a separate motion, just
Okay,
because you've already passed that one.
okay.
All right, so
What do you want it to say, Trish?
I'll make a motion to contingent upon agreement by the property owner at Niemeyer for the installation of trees within the impervious surface, that the commitment from the landowner is to commit to, what do we say?
Maintain.
Well, maintaining them.
Well,
And
we
Sorry.
already have 15 trees and 15 sites.
right, but this is,
So-
he's also saying that he wants to buy some more. So this is kind of like in the second wave.
And he's already $2,000 over budget.
Oh,
So
okay, is it
we're
not
done.
necessary then?
I don't know that he'll have enough money. He's only getting he's already $2,000 over budget, and the company is agreeing to give him another 1,000, which means he's still $1,000 over budget.
So it's $3,000 for 15 trees.
I mean, I would still put it in just in case he does come up with, or someone donates trees. You never know.
Okay,
George has a few extras he wants to throw out there. I don't know.
Well, I think the other thing too would be is if one of the other places doesn't work out for some reason,
Yeah, at least you have it there that it can be put in.
He has
If it-
that capability.
Okay, run through it again, Trish.
All right. The plantings at Niemeyer are contingent upon the landowner's commitment to maintain and replace. Do we want to say replace?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay. To
I would say just maintain as in like water. I don't know if you want to put that in there. So just so, I mean,
Okay.
that, you know what I mean?
Okay, like maintain, like, okay, so such as maintenance includes watering. Do we want to say fertilizing?
No.
No, just mulching or whatever, you know.
Okay, so watering and mulching of the planters. Is that
Yeah,
good?
when needed, as
Uh-huh.
needed.
As
I'd also put in there something that they're maintaining with green living items, not just a statue,
right.
right?
Mhm.
Statue might be better. A statue of a tree, come on.
Yeah,
let's
there you
throw
go.
sculpture in
Novelist.
there. Yeah.
Less maintenance. But we
Hey,
want
the
to
one
keep
down
green.
Disney looks pretty good, the tree.
All right. At least the lanternfly won't get them. Plenty.
Not true. They love to lay their eggs on rusty metal and
Yeah,
concrete.
exactly. Continue. I'm almost there, guys. Hold on.
And if afterwards we need any help with it, we are recording the meeting and we can go back and make it right.
Okay, the motion is that the plantings at Niemeyer are contingent on the owner maintenance of the said trees in the pavement planting wells.
Which includes, maintenance includes watering as needed and mulching.
Including watering as needed. Wish I'd learned shorthand, but they stopped teaching it when I was in school. Watering as needed. And mulching. All right. The plantings at Niemeyer are contingent on the owner maintenance of said trees in the pavement planting wells, including watering as needed and mulching.
Okay, so then someone needs to second it, is that right?
Yes.
I'll
second
second.
it. Yeah, second.
You may second.
And so now Tom, call for approval.
I call for approval. We have approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All say aye.
Aye.
Okay. What's the step? I don't know.
All right.
Doing great.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I'll make a note that as we move forward, particularly when we have permits before you and things like that, we'll put that into we'll do it similar to what we do the board meeting, and we'll get it in a kind of a motion piece that it might be that you might add something, but the basic motion will be there for you to approve, so it won't be quite
Thank
so
you.
difficult.
It works.
This
Thank
is
you,
a
that's
little bit harder.
harder than you think.
Yeah, this is harder to do on the fly, but
We'll get it.
yeah.
I'd rather just be planting the trees myself. It's
A lot
easier.
easier.
Yeah.
Okay,
4 and
It's
3
my
all
world.
along.
Yeah, I definitely could have had him in by now.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Hour and a half meeting, 15 trees, my God. Won't make any money like this.
Don't ever go to a tree tenders seminar where they teach you how to plant a tree.
Takes forever.
The guy from Swarthmore was there. You thought it was his baby we were planting in the ground.
Really?
It took like 2 hours to plant this 5-gallon pot tree.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. I couldn't handle it.
Did you find the root flare?
Oh my God, he was, and he had to put it on a mound and make all the roots go out real nice. And oh my, it was 2 hours. I'm telling you, we were laughing.
2 hours. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Well, as chair of this committee, I promise we will get these streamlined.
This takes time.
I know.
So are we done with new business then? So the next agenda item is old business, which is continue to discuss the shade tree ordinance, but are we ready to do that?
I think with the hour, I mean, you've already been at this an hour and a half. I would hate to, we can leave it on old business if you want to do that. You all have a copy, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What I would ask is that you review it, and if you have specific questions related to certain areas, that you send them to me so I can try to get them answered before the next meeting. Or if there's an area that you think that as a group we ought to be looking at, I think what I had understood when Leonard and I think it was Tina that had interviewed you all had indicated that you had some suggestions to make the ordinance a little bit tighter or a little bit better. And so, we'd like to start looking at some of those to make sure that we get everything in line of what you want. And so it might be helpful if individually you've done that. And then we share that, and then those could be discussion points, and we can put them on the agenda so everybody knows what you're talking about. And that way you can start working through the process. Okay.
Got it.
And again, if you'll just share that with me and also with Suzanne Willanen, she helps me with she's the one that gets it all online. I
Okay.
say, here's what I want to see, and she makes it happen. So.
We decided to, Steve. I'm getting emails from other committees, I think the EAC committee.
Yep.
I'm going to forward them off to Carol. Carol will get them out to the group.
Okay.
So we're all on the same page.
And if you're comfortable at this point, including me until we can figure out who's going to be your full-time liaison from the board, from the staff. That way I can make sure if there's something that should be on the agenda, I can help make sure that gets done.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Leonard's our liaison, right?
Excuse me?
Isn't Leonard our liaison?
Leonard's the liaison, but you're also going to have a staff liaison to work with. I'm just not
Okay.
sure ultimately who that's going to be yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So we have our marching orders on that. And so then the last item is adjournment.
Adjournment. How do I do that? Do I adjourn the meeting?
You typically, if you just say if everybody's in agreement, we adjourn, or you can actually take a motion in a second and then adjourn it.
A motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there?
Agree.
Agreed?
Sure
Great.
thing.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Here ends the meeting.
All right.
So,
time is 8:04.
yeah, so Carol, if you want to work with Suzanne, we'll help do the minutes and get all that together.
Yeah, I was
And-
able to get to the site, but when I got there, I was like totally lost. So I do have to get together with Suzanne to get it figured out.
Yep. And she'll help get that done.
Yeah, I was able to get onto it, but then I didn't know what to do once I got there. So
Yeah.
now I actually have some notes that I can put into it. So we'll figure it out with Suzanne.
Yep.
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah,
And she'll help you go through that process. She's really good at it.
I'm sure she is. Got to be better than me.
Well, she's done it more times than she probably cares to, so. She gets practice at least twice every month, and then she also does the municipal authority meetings, so there's another 2 times a month, or at least once a month, so.
Okay.
All right.
Terrific.
All right.
All right, thank you all very much, and I think we're meeting this second Wednesday in December, is that right?
December, our next meeting is, hang on, I have it. I do have it. It's December 9th,
Yeah, December 9th, yep, so,
30 PM.
yep. So unless there's a permit, we'll really try to focus most of our time on the ordinance
Sounds good.
and getting you
Okay.
guys kind of set, make sure we have everything set. So in the new year, we're really ready to go.
Okay,
Okay?
that works.
Okay,
All
All right,
right.
thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
All
All
right,
right,
guys.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.